The funeral was already moving when the garbage truck screeched to a halt beside the marble gates, its rusted brakes screaming louder than the grief itself, and in that sharp moment a single shout cut through the polished silence like a crack of lightning in broad daylight, declaring that the woman inside the casket was not dead, that something was terribly wrong, and that stopping now would change everything forever. Before the crowd could react, the scene itself demanded attention, because this was no ordinary funeral. The sun hung high in a pale blue sky, casting harsh, honest light over a sea of black suits, glossy luxury cars, and a white casket surrounded by orchids that cost more than most people earned in a year. The woman being buried was Celestine Moreau, a reclusive billionaire known for her cold brilliance in business and her almost mythical absence from public life. People whispered about her power, her loneliness, and the empire she built, but no one truly knew her. No one, it seemed, except the garbage collector who had just jumped from his truck with panic etched across his weathered face. His name was Elias Crow, a man most people had learned to look through, not at. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that even the smallest voice can matter, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Good Soul, because stories like this live on through people who still believe. Elias had spent 20 years collecting trash along the same wealthy streets, working under the sun while others hurried past him without a glance. He knew routines, patterns, and sounds better than most people knew faces. That morning, as he worked his usual route, he noticed something strange near the Moreau estate, a faint but rhythmic thumping coming from the funeral vehicle parked temporarily along the road. It was the kind of sound you only notice when your life depends on listening, when silence itself becomes suspicious. Elias had lost his younger sister years ago after doctors declared her gone too quickly, and that memory never loosened its grip on him. So when he felt that same cold certainty creeping into his bones, he did not hesitate. He ran, knowing full well that no one like him was welcome among people like them. The first challenge came instantly. Security guards blocked his path, mourners glared, and the weight of judgment pressed down on him like the summer heat. A garbage collector daring to interrupt a billionaire's funeral looked like madness, or worse, disrespect. Elias struggled not with strength but with disbelief, because no one wanted to believe him. Yet his heart pounded with something stronger than fear. He had heard it. He was sure. The more they tried to silence him, the more desperate he became, waving his arms, his voice cracking under the sun as polished faces turned away in annoyance. The world had taught him that people like him were invisible, and now that lesson threatened to bury a living woman. As tension thickened the air, the funeral director hesitated, caught between protocol and the raw urgency radiating from Elias. Minutes felt like hours. Sweat trickled down Elias's back as memories flooded in, memories of standing helpless once before. This time, he refused to fail. Finally, against the murmurs of the elite and the ticking clock of impatience, the casket was opened. In that bright daylight, when the truth could no longer hide in shadows, a gasp rippled through the crowd. Celestine's fingers twitched, just barely, like a signal sent from the edge of oblivion. Chaos followed, but it was a hopeful kind. Paramedics rushed in, disbelief turning into frantic action. The billionaire everyone had already mourned was alive, trapped in a rare medical condition that mimicked death so perfectly it had fooled even experienced doctors. Elias stood frozen as the woman was rushed away, his chest tight, his hands trembling. No one cheered. No one apologized. Yet something had shifted. People looked at him now, really looked, as if seeing him for the first time. The days that followed were quiet but heavy with consequence. News spread quickly, not just about Celestine's miraculous survival, but about the men who stopped her burial. Elias returned to work, unsure of what came next, battling doubt and the familiar ache of being forgotten again. But change, once set in motion, rarely stops where it begins. Celestine recovered slowly, and with recovery came questions. She learned about Elias, about his sister, about the life of a man who had nothing to gain and everything to lose by speaking up. For the first time in years, she faced the reality of how close she had come to disappearing unnoticed, despite all her wealth. Their lives did not transform overnight into a fairy tale. Elias still woke before sunrise. His truck was still old. His hands were still rough. But something inside him had healed. He had trusted his instincts, honored his pain, and saved a life that the world deemed more valuable than his own. Celestine, changed by the experience, quietly redirected her fortune toward hospitals, worker protections, and overlooked people who lived on the margins she had never seen until she almost died among them. Just before the ending, special request to comment, tell us below if you believe one brave voice can truly change a life. In the end, the image that lingered was not the casket, the wealth, or the shock, but a man standing in daylight, refusing to be silent, proving that dignity does not come from status but from courage. If this story touched your heart, moved you, or reminded you to listen more closely to the world around you, please engage with this video, because your support helps stories like this reach others who may need hope today.